For educational purpose only.
We're about to take it back.
Okay.
Yes, guys, Talkin Loud Podcast. Dank, sticky, gassy, and all that good stuff, man. And today, I got a very special guest because we're back for a very special live, you got it live episode where we're kicking it with a very special homie, man. We all know how important plant training is, especially when it comes to increasing yield, increasing your overall performance of your plants. So today, join me in welcoming to the fam, the Budtrainer squad. How's it going, man?
Thank you for having me again, THC, Matt. It's so good to be here. I'm doing great today. How are you?
Man, I'm so good, man. I'm just super stoked to be able to kick it with you, talk a little bit about these great LST clips, all sorts of stuff, man. I got a lot of questions to ask you. I know a lot of people in the chat right now probably have a lot of questions as well, man. But before we even get into any of those things, man, guys, you guys got to smash that like button, show some love. We're going to have a banging episode today. We're going to be kicking with the Budtrainer fam, and we're going to find out a lot of different ways that you can use these little clips to maximize your yield, increase your output, and get the best out of your plants, man. So before we actually get into all that, dude, just thanks for taking the time to join us, man. Really appreciate that. But I always like to ask everyone, how's things going where you're chilling at? You guys are over in Canada, right?
That's right. We're in Waterloo, Ontario. It's about 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, it could be an hour and a half to Toronto, but that's about where we are for anybody that doesn't know Canada very well. Pretty close to Toronto.
I got you, man. I got you. I actually seen you guys on another Canadian growmie of mine, Grower Joe, Basement Grow Show. You guys were on the show that he hosted over on the 420 Fast Buds Twitch page, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right. Yeah, Joe, we love Joe. We've already had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times in person as well. Last time at Lift in Toronto, and can't wait for the opportunity to actually meet you in person, which we haven't had the opportunity to yet.
Soon, man. Soon. We definitely got to make that happen, dude. 100,000%, man. But guys, let me know if you guys use LST clips. If you don't, you probably need to get into it because the old school method of tying down branches and all that stuff, popping holes in your plant pots, that's so old school, man. So personally, I love the LST clips. I have not gone back to anything else since I started using it. So I want to find out what you guys think, man. But yeah, guys, definitely follow Budtrainer on Instagram. They got some great things going on. Just give them a follow. And like I said, this is a live Q&A. So if you guys got any questions, you guys want answered, any question for me or for the Budtrainer fam, definitely drop them in and we will try to get those answered, dude. But before we actually dig into some of those plant training techniques and all that sort of stuff, man, tell us a little bit about Budtrainer, man. How did Budtrainer all start? What was the vision behind it? Like, just tell us all about it, man. It's a great, great story, I'm sure.
Of course. Yeah, no, thank you for asking. Basically, I started growing my own cannabis 4 years ago. I mean, I've been consuming it for over 10 now. And after things became legalized in Canada, I thought, well, now I can actually grow my own up to 4 plants per person. So I really got into it. I grew, I believe, 2 plants my first year and then 4 plants my second year. However, as a lot of people who have started on their own might attest to, it was difficult to find good knowledge online.
Yeah,
it was either knowledge that was from the experts, don't get me wrong, people who do it really well, but not explained in a way that a beginner can pick that up and do it themselves. So I tried some very advanced things that turned out terribly because I was such a beginner grower and didn't know really about everything else that was involved in the process. So for 2 years, I, kept trying to grow better cannabis. Then COVID happened. And before COVID, I was a consultant working sales and marketing. I still am a consultant, but because of the whole, nobody knowing what was going to happen because of COVID, my client said, you know what, we're going to pause our contracts for now and come back when, things get back to normal, I guess, whenever normal was going to be. So that's when I thought, you know what, I'm loving growing cannabis. I have already thought about the possibility of potentially entering the industry and really working into it. And because of that forced change of careers, I decided to actually apply for Niagara College. They have a commercial cannabis production program, which is the only program in Canada for commercial cannabis production. They actually started the program as soon as legalization hit. They had the very first students pretty much in the world to go through a commercial cannabis production program. It's a 1-year postgraduate program. Happened that the applications were still open. I applied for it. So if you remember, COVID happened in March 2020. By September 2020, I was already back to college. Mind you, I'm also an engineer, graduated in 2014. So that was, so many years before. And here I was going back to school, eventually learned how to grow commercial grade cannabis at scale, which is really what we did at school. But when like halfway through school, before I was graduating, the industry had already gone through a bit of a surplus of production. So by the time I was coming out of school, there wasn't that many companies hiring. In fact, there were companies shutting down and many people in the pool looking for jobs. So I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity to potentially go back to my entrepreneurship roots and try something in the cannabis space, which is when I saw that there were many LSD ideas out there, many different types of clips, but they just weren't really well designed. They broke branches. The people weren't doing it right. And with my engineering degree, I had a 3D printer that I like to play around with. I decided to make my own with a very different shape, which is these small, thin little arms that we have, which allow people to train them a lot more easily, not break those branches, allows them to actually interlock the little clips together so that they can train them on the main branch and have that 180 split. And I decided to just put this out there and see what happened. At the same time, we also made the bud pots, which are these ones behind me here. And I won't lie, they were not any new idea. They had been around for a long time. I'd seen these things on Reddit many, many years ago with pools, and I just figured, you know what? This is time to bring these to market. Actually, here I have one. They come nice and flat like this. And the other thing was putting the steel rim on the top, which makes them nice and sturdy so they don't collapse, right?
Smart.
So I was like, you know what? Got my best friend. We decided to try this together and, put out there a brand that was obsessed about training your plants, increasing your yields, and going from that flimsy Christmas tree shape to that bushy shape full of big buds, which is really what we're obsessed about. Yeah. So with that, we decided to, put these products out there. We started going to retailers. Retailers love the products. We placed Budtrainer in over 150 retailers now in under 2 years. And Amazon has been going great as well. The products are super highly rated on Amazon. People are really loving the versatility of them. And now it's just a matter of, people getting to know the brand more and getting to experience the quality of the products, which is what we're really proud about.
Man, that is crazy amazing. I absolutely loved hearing that story, dude. And just taking your engineering background, and being able to bring it to the cannabis industry in this sense, and be able to bring something that a lot of the home growers can use. Because a lot of things in the industry that are really progressive and forward thinking, they're super massive pieces of equipment a lot of the time meant for industrial grows, commercial grows, big grows at scale. But what I really like that you guys are doing is you guys are also bringing stuff for the home grower. So the home grower can maximize their yields and get the same great results that commercial operation can. So I think that's friggin' amazing. And using your marketing and your engineering background to be able to, have two of those things and be able to make the main line, the whole flat canopy. Like a lot of home growers don't have a lot of space, so they want to keep that canopy low. They want to maximize their yield, but keep the canopy manageable. So a lot of the things that you guys are doing are amazing, man. But I always like to ask everyone on the show, like, what's the inspiration behind it? Because like you guys is the name Budtrainer. To me, it says everything that it needs to say. But what was the inspiration behind actually choosing that name, Budtrainer?
It was a combination of one, having a website available that was budtrainer.com and the social medias, which it's not even all of them. On Facebook, we're Budtrainer with an extra R because it was already some Budtrainer before. But it was a combination of that. And also we wanted to have something related to training. But it wasn't just, training that we could go into in the future, products that don't necessarily just relate to training, but help you get bigger buds. In the end, the Budtrainer is really our customer. It's you who's going to become the Budtrainer, right? So the brand was really to represent those people who want to get their buds and make them massive. So that's really where the name Budtrainer came from. And I don't know, some names, they just roll off the tongue. As you're going through them in your mind, you think about them, like, it just doesn't hit. And then you find one. It's kind of like sunglasses. When you're picking sunglasses and you look at one, you look at the other, and then boom, it's like it hits and it's in your heart. And you're like, this is the pair that I'm going to take, and you wear them all the time, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like that's how we came up with the name, and that's where we're at today. I'm very glad that we picked the name Budtrainer. It turned out to be great.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree. I love the name. It says a lot. And I got it hanging in my tent right now. That big, beautiful poster, Budtrainer. We all love growing big buds, guys. So, guys, if you like growing big buds, smash that like button, show some love. I'm seeing a lot of people tune in the chat right now. Norma G says, Budtrainer clips are for real the best. Norma G, you know it, bro. And there are a lot of other people out here who are actually using the Budtrainer clips as well. I see Tim Turk says he's going to put in an order soon. We got a lot of people in the chat. Shout out to Chad Westboard, Ruse, Goofy Growing. We got Cap Bar as well. We got a lot of people. Mad Dog, I see you, bro. But guys, definitely check out their website. They got some great clips. And the great thing is that they are super affordable. So you don't need to break the bank to increase your yields. But you also don't need to grab a bunch of string and tie down branches and risk breaking those branches or popping holes in your plant pot, because Budtrainer's got everything you need. So check out their website and show some love, man.
And you know what, guys? If you do break a branch, it will happen to every plant trainer there's out there. Breaking branches is just, I'd say, a rite of passage. If you want to commit to the art of plant training, just accept that you might break a branch or two. When you break that branch, don't get too upset or desperate.
Yeah.
Just understand this was meant to happen. I just broke a branch the other day, and I've been doing this for 4 years. So it happens to all of us. We get distracted. We think that the branch is going to handle it. It doesn't. Like, oh, my God, how did I do this? So you can just tape it around. If you don't have tape and you have to get rid of that branch, it's also okay. The getting rid of that branch is going to force your plant to put all of its energy to the other branches, and then they're going to become stronger. So I remember the first time I was training, I broke 2 of 6 branches. So it was like, 1/3 of the plant gone. Already. Yeah, it was so sad. And I was like, no. So anyways, but turned out that it was okay. The plant still survived, still got, a decent yield from that.
Facts, man. Like branches being broken is like almost like a rite of passage. Like just yesterday, I was moving some lights and the light fell straight down on my plant and broke like 3 branches. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to like save one of them because the break wasn't too bad. So I grabbed some tape, taped it around. That one is still going strong. And the other 2, I just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take some cuttings. I popped those into my aero cloner, cut off the part that was broken, and we're going to get a new plant from it, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about how you look at it and how you turn a bad situation into a good one, man. But what I also did want to ask, dude, a lot of people have been talking about the clips for a long time, and you mentioned that the clips are something that have been around for a while. I've used a lot of different ones from a lot of different brands or companies or whatever you want to call it, and I have found that some of them are more reliable than others, and it all comes down to, I guess, I'm just guessing, how it's actually made. So some people say that the 3D printed ones, they don't last as long as the other ones. So what makes you guys, the Budtrainer clips just so reliable and so much better than some of the other cheaper options on the market?
Great question. You know what? We actually started selling 3D printed clips. We sold 25,000 units 3D printed before we actually made them with an injection mold. So we had 3 3D printers going at one point, just pumping these clips out. And what was really unique about them was the fact that different than the ones out there, they actually have walls for these pins that we have instead. And these little pins, they actually help your branch. One, it's more flexible around the branch. 2, it doesn't put an angle that's as hard as 90 degrees, which a lot of those other ones do. And you see photos all over social media with them after they've been trained breaking, right? Because it's too much pressure for those branches. And the other thing with being designed in this way with the thin little arms is that it's a lot easier to put them on and off with one hand if you have to. Once you put a couple in, you learn how to do it. It's so easy, Matt. And the other thing too is being thin like this, they actually go into each other, as you can see here. So you can put one on the main stalk and bend that branch that you have, and then you put another one on the main stalk, crisscross like this, and you put the other branch across. So you actually get a 180 split. There's people who 3D print a 180 clip just for that purpose. So instead of having 2 types of clips, we have this universal one, which, by the way, is a size that works on plants that are from small seedlings all the way to large adult plants. That's why we made them this big with this gap here. And if you're using them and taking them off every 2 to 3 weeks, your plant is going to have that shape of branches that almost looks like it's flexing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just flexing and getting those knuckles formed. So that's really what we recommend. Put them on, take them off after 2 to 3 weeks. That branch is going to have formed and calcified in place already. So then you can just use your clips up on the branches. You can actually keep doing that as long as your branch is growing. They'll keep going sideways.
Amazing, man. That is pretty dope because like you said, like a lot of people actually make those individual clips to do the 180-degree bend with, or the mainlining. Like it looks almost like a U or a T like this, right? But a lot of people don't know that the Budtrainer clips, you can use one universal clip but get the same results. So that is mind-blowing to me, dude, because like a lot of times the single clips that you use, like you only can use that clip if you're trying to do a mainline. Like otherwise, because of how the clip is built, basically you can't use it for anything else. So that is great, man. At the end of the day, you get no wasted clips, right?
That's exactly right. And we made them in a way that they can last for ever, really. We estimate they're going to last for at least 10 years. We haven't been around for 10 years to be able to tell. And the other thing too is that the other clips, a lot of them are made with too much plastic, whereas the Bud clips, they're made with a lot less plastic, so they're a lot lighter. Okay. And they're also made with recycled plastic. So every Bud clip, we actually unfortunately have to pay more for recycled plastic. I wish it was cheaper. It doesn't kind of make sense, but buying new plastics, putting more plastic in the world is cheaper, but we do pay the extra just to have this plastic be recycled. The package of the Bud clips, the paper that goes inside of it, everything is recycled. So nothing gets added to the world. And we've had maybe 2 or 3 people say that their Bud clips broke. And we actually told them that they were designed with a thickness to allow your branches to overpower them and break the clip instead of breaking the branch and strangling the branch. So what we tell them is, what's worth more, a very large cola or 80 cents that these clips cost? And oftentimes the answer is yes, I'm glad that my cola didn't get affected. The clip broke instead of the cola. So that's one of the safety features that we built into them, just in case you do forget them on the plant. The plant is going to win the battle, not the clip is going to win the battle. That's one.
Bro, dope. How dope is that, man? That is dope. I love that safety feature, dude, because honestly, you end up in situations, even with gardening wire. I actually just seen a comment right here from Donahoe. Shout out to Donahoe, man. He says, all you need is garden wire. Now, I've used garden wire for a long time, but things like garden wire, things that are super strong and does not give the plant any or no room to flex, or it does not flex itself. Like you can use garden wire and you will see like lacerations on the side of your plant. Like the garden wire will start to cut into your plant as it grows if you don't readjust and constantly readjust. And that's not something you want to do, because cuts can lead to, open wounds in your plant, which can lead to places for viruses and bacteria to get in there. And then all of a sudden you got issues that you're dealing with, right? So for me, that is a great safety feature that you guys have built in, because sometimes plants grow super fast. If you're going in DWC or cocoa, those shits will grow super quick. And to avoid your plant breaking or your branch breaking, sometimes you have a really nice branch, you're like, that cola is going to be so good. Look back a few days, you accidentally broke the bitch. So, it's all about having that safety feature, man. So I think that's amazing, dude. Shout out to you guys on that.
Thank you. No, that's awesome. And I saw that, hey, if you like using training wire, that's by all means. That's why we came up with the pots and the bud huggers as well. In fact, you were talking about the laceration on the branches, and we're just watching some videos on YouTube of people doing training with very thin strings and things that will really cut through the branch. And that's why we made the bud huggers as thick as they are, which is exactly 3 millimeters thick with that rubber on the outside, because that's the best thickness that you can get for a cannabis plant, again, from that seedling stage. So they're not super thick, like, as thick as a pinky. You can almost not even use it on a small seedling, but they're also not super thin that you can use them on an adult plant during the flowering stage, if you will. The bud huggers are great with the bud pots or any product that you have holes to tie them around. And then sometimes we even use the bud huggers to tie one branch to the other so that those flowers don't get too heavy and flop over. So you can almost create like your own tomato wire by getting a large piece of bud hugger and just wiring it around your cola so that they hold that weight. So it's all about how you like to train your plants. That's why we like to have both methods, the clips and also the garden wire with the pots, because it's kind of like an art, really. We look at it as an art. People who are obsessed about those massive buds, and that's what we really want to help people do, is get massive buds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that that's a great way to do it because personally, once I've started using LST clips, especially the Budtrainer clips, I haven't looked back, dude. Like, I don't tie down branches with string anymore. Like, straight up, I just don't do it. But if it works for you, it works for you, and definitely keep doing it, man. I'm not here to say what works or what doesn't work, or what you should do and what you shouldn't do, because there's a lot of different ways to grow, and there's no right or wrong way to grow. And Norma G says medical tape is the best branch for branch repairs. I agree, man. Medical tape is great. I have sort of moved away from stuff like Scotch tape and stuff just because that Scotch tape does not hold as long and it always untangles. I've also used like painter's tape as well. That blue painter's tape, I found that works great. But for you, have you used any other types of tape other than like medical tape or anything like that?
Any tape that's soft is going to work well. What's not good is tape that doesn't fold or bend well.
Yeah.
So you could use even electrical tape that you can remove after a few days because it's very soft and bendy. Or you can use also that white tape for plumber's tape. You know, the one you use on threads. That doesn't even have glue. So, however, it's a little bit difficult to wrap it around because you need to have, you know, the pressure on them. But however, if you put it with your hands, you can do that. Or grafting tape. Grafting tape is used for something called grafting, which is really when you get a branch from a tree and you insert it into another tree so that it grows that way. So people use that in different cultures, not necessarily cannabis, although you can graft. For example, in one cannabis tree, you can have multiple strains.
Yeah.
Often is just possible, but grafting tape is great because it doesn't have glue. Again, it's just a waxy tape. So as you wrap it around your branch, that wax just grabs onto the branch. It holds it in place for those couple of weeks that it needs, and then the branch kind of breaks through the tape because, again, it's just wax that it's breaking through. So those are many methods over there that you can use to fix your branches. But the answer is tape. Any tape that you have, even if it's not the most ideal tape, that's really what you want. And accept that if the break happens like complete and there's barely anything holding it back together, there's hardly a chance you're going to be able to reattach the two. It's kind of like you lose a finger.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to put it back together, but if it's hanging, at least, you know, it might be easier to like reattach it. But same thing with that branch. If it's a partial break, you can definitely put it back, tape it up, but I won't give you much hopes if it's a complete tear. Just accept it. Again, pray for the branch gods, and it'll be a bit of farewell, and you're gonna move on.
Absolutely, man. And it's so true. You do raise a good point, because like a lot of the times, if you tape it back within 24 hours or so, you will be able to tell whether that branch is viable or whether it's gone. If it's gone, it's probably going to just start to shrivel up and there's no bringing it back. But if it just continues to look like it's trotting on and it's not shriveling up and dying off, then you probably got some hope. So it's all about that plant and that branch. And Vern actually says, mine get broken often. Indoor, not as much, but a straw will be a temporary cost. And he was mentioning using McDonald's straws to like heal your plants, and you can just take it off afterwards. So shout out to him on that. I just want to shout out to everyone in the chat as well, hipsters and hippies. We got Mary. Shout out to Amanda, Brandon in the chat as well. We got a lot of people showing love. Mary, what's going on? Fighting Evil Genius. So many people in the chat showing love, man. Now, before we actually, switch gears just a little bit, I do want to ask you something sort of that it was not really planned, right? It's not really planned. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was just thinking, how about we do a little bit of a giveaway and give away a couple packs of the Budtrainer clips to some of the people in the chat right now. Some of the people, we got about 130 people on the live right now. So you guys will get an opportunity to win something if, of course, the Budtrainer gang is down with it. So what do you think, bro?
Yeah, 100%. How about we make it better? We'll do a full bud bundle, which is one of the clips, one of the pots. 4 of the pots from 3, 5, and 7 gallons. They come in 4 packs. The 10s, 15s, and 25s, they come in 2 packs. So you can choose depending on whether you want the big one or the small one. And then 1 pack of the clips and one of the Bud Huggers 16 feet, which is 5 meters as well. So we throw that all in a bundle, and we'll do 2 of those. You choose, whoever wins chooses the size of pots that they want, and we'll send it over. How about that?
Woo! Yeah, buddy. That sounds amazing, bro. You had me at like the first word. I was like, yeah, let's do that. Man, that is amazing, guys. So smash the like button for that, guys. We always try to give back to you guys, and thank you guys for showing love, being part of the community, and just always being so positive and happy and sharing the love and good vibes, man. So yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that. So we're gonna make it for everyone who's on the live right now. So you guys who are on the live will have an opportunity to win something courtesy of the Budtrainer fam, man. So what I'm gonna do is probably just do a random giveaway, and we can pick a couple people, right? And we will select them fully at random. And to enter, all you got to do is drop a comment in the chat. But what we need to figure out is what that comment is going to be. So I'm thinking we can use the word Budtrainer because we got to show love to Budtrainer for doing this massive giveaway. Wait, I actually got to drop the hashtag before. So let's drop that hashtag. So to enter, all you guys got to do is drop that hashtag Budtrainer in the chat. And while those comments are being collected, we will definitely pick someone to win, man. But I wanted to ask you a random question while this is going on, dude. Like, do you remember the first time you smoked? Like, do you remember that? How was that for you?
Man, that was a long time ago. I'm actually from Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil.
Nice.
And moved to Canada back in 2009 when I was just 18.
Yeah.
And the first time that I ever smoked was actually back in Brazil when I was like 15 years old. And it was some friends of mine that had found some. And in Brazil, it's pretty illegal. Like it's not like in Canada where even before legalization, people just smoked weed and went to 420 down in Toronto. So it wasn't as open as that. So it was very like, oh my God, this is dangerous, So I remember having a couple of puffs. It was a very sticky joint, like no filter. And down in Brazil, you don't get fresh flower. You get like some pressed up brown, very, very garbagey cannabis. So anyways, it was plants. It was not a very I wouldn't say pleasant or unpleasant. It wasn't anything. I just remember having these couple of tokes and be like, oh, okay, well, we did it. It felt like, did it. And then went to the gym after that. I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, people talk so much about this, but like, didn't do me much of anything. It made me go to the gym after, you know what I mean? So after that, maybe a couple more times that I did it in Brazil, like between, that time when I was 15, so I moved here when I was 18, but when I got to Canada, that's when I learned through all of the friends that I made right away that cannabis is like super available. You know what I mean? In fact, if you're younger than 19, you're better off finding cannabis because it's easier than buying alcohol off the liquor store. You know what I mean? So it was in Canada that I had my real like first experience where I smoked like fresh flower, and I was like, whoa, this is how cannabis makes you feel. And I remember for like the first 6 months or a year, it was just the giggles every time we get into bursts of laughter, which would almost hurt, but then it just keep going, and it was so good. I wish I could get that back, but it's just funny to see other people who sometimes are at that stage and be like, oh my God, I miss that so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, like that first high is always like the best one, man. You laugh so much, your jaw starts to hurt and all that sort of stuff, man. But it's funny that you say that you back in Brazil, you guys would get like that super brown, sticks and stems and all that sort of stuff in there, right? And a lot of seeds, I'm assuming as well. Back where I lived in the Caribbean, we got the same thing as well, dude. We would call it Colo or Colombian or anything like that, but it's basically a lot of sticks, a lot of seeds. You can grab like an ounce, you shake it out, you got like 400 seeds falling out of that shit. If you don't take it out properly, when you roll this stuff up, you're hearing pop, 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 and it just smells that dirty seed burning, man. It smells so stinky. Wow, man. It's always great.
Yeah, and it's those joints that have like those pieces poking out of the joint because they're so hard and you couldn't like properly grinded. In Brazil, it's not like you can find grinders everywhere either. They're not that available. So you grind it on your nail or with a scissor. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm loving this, man. I'm loving this. And on a side note to that, do you like remember the first plant you grew? Like, you remember what strain it was? Did it turn out nice? Do you remember what sort of yield you got? Was it good? Was it bad? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. I can't remember the strain that it was because I got seedlings off of my neighbor that had already started them. They were about this big, and they're like, oh, I got a couple extras that I'm not going to grow because he was already at his limit. I guess he had some extras just in case some died.
Yeah.
So I took just a couple of them, and I can't remember that one was AK-47. I remember that. The other one I won't be able to remember, but no, my first grow wasn't that great. I mean, to me at the time, I looked at the buds and like I was so proud of them. But looking back at it, it was like, I didn't have a great time consuming them. Let's just put it this way. The first few were like, oh, it's great. I grew this myself, but it's kind of like cooking your own shitty meal. You still appreciate the fact that you did it, but it doesn't taste that great.
I like that one. I like that one, man. The same way with me with my first plant. So don't worry. I think, like you said, it's a rite of passage. Everyone just has to go through it, man. So that's just one of the things you have to go through. Now, guys, everyone that's dropping comments in the chat, don't gotta spam it. Only do it once. And I also want to see like a lot of you guys hitting that like button. We got over 130 people in the chat, and we haven't got 100 likes yet. Like, what's going on, man? You guys got to smash the like. And what I'm going to do is see how many entries we've got in. We've got almost 70 entries in. If you guys are taking a little too long, we're going to do the draw anyway. Don't worry. We'll have 2 draws. So you guys will have a chance to win some of that good Budtrainer bundle. I'm trying to find the bundle, man. I just had it and the page just friggin' disappeared. You know how that shit happens sometimes.
It's all good.
Yeah, dude, it's so painful. Let me just pull that back up real quick. But on that note, where is it, man? Okay, I just got it. So this is the Budtrainer bundle that you guys will be able to win. Is this it? This is it, right?
That's it. That's exactly it.
Fantastic. I just found it on the website. The Big Bud Bundle. If that's not a name, I don't know what is. So guys, definitely hit that, drop that in the comments and hit that like button. I want to see that hashtag Budtrainer. And what we're going to do is do that draw. So I'm going to grab that other screen right now real quick and pull that up so we can do the draw. So we got 72 entries and we got it up on screen. And what we're going to do is the first draw. So this one is for 1 Budtrainer bundle, and you guys, oh man, thank you guys for being part of the chat, being part of the giveaway, and being here. And thanks to the Budtrainer fam for participating in this giveaway. But let's do the draw. Enough talk. And the winner is, can I get a drum roll, please, of the first giveaway? It's gonna be the one, the only Norma G. Damn, bro. Shout out to Norma G. I think that's the first time Norma G has ever won something on the channel, man. Congratulations to Norma G, man. That is amazing. Shout out to Norma G. You've just won yourself a Budtrainer bundle. And yeah, man, I'm going to get in touch with you and we can get your information, or you can get in touch with Budtrainer. We can send that over to them. Just send me an email to icanthcclub@gmail.com. And I'm going to get that sorted for you, man. That is friggin' dope.
Shout out to Norma G. It's already one of our great customers and supporters out there. I'm glad that you won, Norma G.
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up, man. Shout out to Norma G. Much love. Norma G's like in everything all the time, man. Like always see him showing love, man. So shout out to Norma G on that. But guys, whoever has entered and did not win, don't worry. We're going to do another giveaway just now. So before we do that second draw, man, what I wanted to ask you is about the LST clips, right? Because a lot of people have these LST clips. Some people may not have it. And you guys, if you don't have it, you have a chance to win it on the next draw. But a lot of people have been using them. And a popular question is, how early do I actually start using the LST clips? How early is too early? Is there anything such as too early? Can I start training from, just a few nodes up? What do you say to that? When should someone start using the clips?
Great question. I would say if you have 2 routes to choose. Usually you're going to either top your plants or you're not going to top them. If you don't top your plants and you want to get that LST shape where the plant looks like a snake that's coming out and then back up again, you can start using your clips as soon as you have about 4 to 5 nodes, because you're going to use them on that base of the stalk so that you can get that first curve going. If you wait too much, that first base of the stalk, the first 2 inches, is going to get hardy and woody. If you try to use the clips, then you might end up breaking that branch. So if you're going to do LSD with the bud clips alone, I would recommend between weeks 2 to 3, while your seedling is still very bendy, you can put that first clip in and then let it grow back up. And then after 2 weeks, you can move that clip back up on it and start getting that shape. However, if you're going to top your plant, usually if you have a fast growing strain from seed to about week 4 or 5, that's when you're going to be topping it. We recommend using the clips about 1 week after you top, because then your top branches that were tiny little growth sites, they're going to be about maybe 2 to 3 inches long. That's the ideal stage to use the butt clips with that method, where you put them on the main stalk and on the branch. You can actually check out our website and the photos, and you will see how they're used with that mainline split. So you can do the first stage of training, what we call stage 1, which is the base stalk setup, at weeks, roughly 5 to 6 of the entire growth cycle with the clip. So that's really when you would be looking at using them for the first time if you're topping, because then you're using, sometimes if you top and you leave, say, 3 nodes out or 4 nodes out, you're going to be using 8 of them or 6 of them. So that is the method we really recommend, because that's when you get that plant to really spread out. However, again, with the LST method, you can start early because you're going to have to bend that plant to the side a lot more.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, man. That makes a lot of sense. So personally, I've found a lot of success doing it that way as well. And you can always remove the clips and place them on somewhere later on. Because like you mentioned earlier on, a lot of the times when you use those clips, it'll actually cause the branch to callus off, harden off. And that way you get the shape, but you can take the clip off and the shape still stays. And then you take that off and you can place that clip higher up, and then you can really spread out your plant and get a massive, massive plant. Just quickly, shout out to Mr. Awesome Badass, always showing love. Mr. Awesome, so happy to see you, dude. Hope you're having a fantastic day. But he says, I need to try some of the Budtrainer. The ones that I've got off Amazon are no good. I would definitely say, bro, give the Budtrainer ones a try. A lot of the cheaper ones, they're sometimes 3D printed and the quality is just not that good. But with these plastic molds, they're actually really, really good quality. And there are a lot of safety features built in there. So just have a look back in today's episode, man. We broke all that down, but it's definitely worth the shot, man. So definitely give that a try. And one thing I also wanted to touch on, man, oh no, go ahead, man. Sorry about that.
Sure, no, Mr. Awesome Badass there. We are available on Amazon as well. So if you want to purchase from Amazon because you have Amazon Prime, for instance, you can go ahead and get your Budtrainer gear on Amazon. It's our store on Amazon. It's not like Amazon is ripping us off or anything like that. It's us there. So we like to make the product available where it's easiest for you. But before you go even to Amazon or on our website, I highly recommend you check out our store locator on the website. If you scroll down on the website, there's over 150 stores that already carry Budtrainer, both in the US and Canada and Australia, that you can find. And if they're close to you, you're going to get the product probably one, cheaper if you go physically to the store, because they sell it at the cheapest price that we make available. And 2, if you're purchasing online from them, you might be able to get fertilizers and soil, whatever else you might be buying for your growth. So in as much as we saw on Amazon or our website, we also highly encourage all of our customers to go to our retailers, because we like to support them. We like to bring traffic to them. And that's when you really get to see the quality of the products in your hands.
That is dope, man. Shout out to you guys for that. I would definitely second that. Check out their website, man. Hit up their store locator. See if there's a retailer close by that you can grab it at. And, show some love. Always good to support local and support your local grow shops as well, man. I think that's freaking amazing, dude. Man. And this guy, Matt Harwood. Shout out to Matt, man. You are a legend, dude. That's a great name that you got right there, man. Big name. But also, he says 5 a.m. in Australia, watching the ICANN fam, ripping bongs and wearing thongs. Yeah. I absolutely love it, man. So funny, man. We got a lot of great people in the chat. Dude, now I actually wanted to ask you, brother. A lot of people use LST clips, but they use it in combination with other types of training. So some people may use LST clips, and personally, I use it in combination with scrog frames. So I got a scrog frame. I use the clips, and it helps me to keep them really nice under the scrog frame. But is there any right or wrong answer when it comes to using LST clips in connection or combination with other types of training, or is it mutually exclusive?
Great question, and it is not mutually exclusive at all. The butt clips, they're there to help you as an extra tool, just like someone, someone who is a mason will have multiple tools in their toolbox. It's not just a hammer. The butt clips are there as that extra tool for you. We find them convenient where, one, you would require a very large piece of string or garden tie to attach that branch. Instead of using a foot-long garden tie, just use the butt clips and you're getting that bend on your branches, right? They can also be used, people use them for different types of crops as well, that where plant training is beneficial. We're focused on cannabis. We're all about the plant, and we only focus on that. However, they can be used in anything that requires you to bend those branches to open up that canopy so that you don't have to use the garden ties. And where you can't use the clips, that's where the garden ties and the butt pots, they come in handy, because then you get the complete action. So you can mix both methods, all the methods. And with scrogging, we're actually doing, if you go on our Instagram, there's an outdoor plant that we're doing this year. And we are using a trellis net, but before it puts all of that pressure on the net and starts pushing the net up, we're using the clips so that the clips actually alleviate some of the pressure that the branches put on the net alone, right? So the clips can be used with the scrogging as well. In fact, one of our followers, probably you know him well as well, another scrogger, he uses both the clips and the bud pots before he sets up his net on top of them.
Smart, man. And it really helps to like level everything out. So again, I think the way you actually described it as a tool is actually such a great description, man, because it's a tool. And a lot of these things that people are seeing out here, you know, some people say, oh, you don't need this or you don't need that. The plants will grow without it. Well, that's honestly true. Plants will grow regardless of what we use. But all these tools are meant to help increase our efficiency in the grow room, increase our output, increase our final product, you know, the potency of the final product, the yield, and maximize our quality. That's what we're trying to do. So yes, plants will grow without all these things. Plants have been growing for billions and billions of years without us doing anything, man. But it's all about increasing your efficiency using these little tools. So that's what I think personally. So I think that they're great, and they're great for autos, they're great for photos, they're great for all sorts of stuff, man. But on the flip side of the question that I just asked, how late is too late to use the LST clips? Like, can you use LST clips late on in flower? Is that okay? Like, you know, if you got some bud sites that you sort of want to expose, I'm assuming you don't want to break any branches. Will the LST clips be a good option?
Great question. I was actually going to touch that on that before, and I completely veered off. And it's important to mention because with the training during the flowering stage, after your plant, after the third week or fourth week of flowering, your plant stops putting on length and stops growing those branches. It starts putting on the thickness. So with that, the branches will start to get heavy. And if you continue training your plant into flower all the way through that stretch period, when your branches are heavy, your plant won't be able to sustain them. And it's going to have to put a lot of energy into sustaining branches versus on creating big buds. So if you have a trellis net that you can support those buds after the fact, you can train your branches all the way up to the end of the stretch period. It's okay. You're only going to continue exposing those buds, but it's important that you support them from the bottom so they don't fall over during the flowering stage. On the other hand, if you don't have a spot for a trellis net, if you don't have, say, a tomato cage or something large on top that's going to be able to hold your buds in when they're heavy, then we recommend you stop training during the veg stage. Do your last training about minimum 3 days before you flower so that it gives your plant a chance to spring back up. Ideally a week, do your training, do your last stopping a week before doing flipping it to flower, and then you flip it to flower, you're going to get the best distribution that you can. And then you can stop training. You can even use, like I said, the bud huggers, the garden ties to tie one branch to the other so that as they start putting on weight, they don't collapse out, they actually stay upright. So I guess that's the long answer. If you have support, you can train them as much as you want. If you don't have support for your buds, we recommend stopping just before flower so that you allow those branches to grow up and then put on that weight.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, man. That makes a lot of sense. And support during flower is a big thing. And I found that, you know, having that just extra support just for your branches really helps your branches just not flop all over. A lot of the times it can flop over. Then you got a plant with a lot of branches that are flopping everywhere, and it just doesn't look too good, doesn't get the best light distribution and all that stuff. So again, it's all about just increasing efficiency in the grow room using simple little tools that can go a really long way, man. So again, shout out to you guys because you guys are doing some great stuff out here. And one of the first comments on the chat today was by my good friend Colorado Joe. Shout out to Raymond Getz. He actually says that, you know, for him, using LST clips is amazing. He just finds the right spot, and once you find that right spot, you are good to go, man. Now, a lot of people have had issues where, you know, trying to put on those LST clips in the wrong spot, you actually snap those branches. And a little tip or a little trick that I've found is treat the branch almost as if you're super cropping it. Squeeze the stem a little bit before you put on the LST clip, and that way you get a little bit more flexibility. Now, for you, have you had any issues when it comes to, you know, putting on LST clips in places that you probably should not have put it on and the branch is snapped?
Great question. And to your point, that's exactly what we recommend doing. If you're training a branch that is clearly flimsy, you can just pick up that branch and it's flopping back and forth without effort. The clip might not even stay on the branch because the branch is so flimsy. You might have to wait for that branch to grow a little bit until it can put a little bit of pressure against the clip. However, if the opposite is true and you want to train, or you're like, oh, should have trained maybe 3 days ago, a week ago, but I want to do it now, then doing what you recommended is the best, where it's a mix of a low stress training kind of leaning into high stress training, because you are squeezing those fibers. You kind of feel that crack happening under your fingers. Once you feel that little crack, before you put the clip, again, make sure that the branch became bendy. And as you bend that branch, don't let your fingers go, because if you bend with your fingers there, at least it's going to prevent it from cracking. If you let your fingers grow and then you do the bend, that's when that that tear happens on the top surface. So keep your fingers there, do a little squeeze, bend the branch down the angle that you want it finally, and all you have to do is take your fingers off and put the clip in. The clip just replaces your finger at that point.
Yeah, it's so true, man. And it's a great point that David actually says. Bonsai growers have been doing similar techniques for centuries. It's very similar, man. A lot of the training that we do to maximize yield on our plants, bonsai growers have been doing the same thing, but just at very extreme levels in comparison. So they do a lot more, trimming, cutting down, really to keep that plant super small. But great point, man. Great point. Now, what I'm thinking is let's head on over to the giveaway screen and do the second draw before we jump on into the Know Your Bud segment. So for this one, like I said, it'll just be the same one, same amount of entries. And what we can do, oh man, I just lost it. So what we'll have to do is redo the hashtag. So what we can do is for this one is drop the hashtag Budtrainer Rocks, and let's collect those comments. And that's what you guys need to enter for this for the final giveaway. And we'll do that in a few minutes. Just give you guys some time to drop that in so you guys can win the Budtrainer bundle. Now, in the meanwhile, let's just shift on over to the Know Your Bud segment, man. The Know Your Bud segment is a great little segment that I like to say is the Know Your Bud segment, because everyone that comes onto the show is my bud. And I like to find out what you guys do with your buds. So there's no right or wrong answer to it. It's just a couple questions I'm going to throw at you, and you tell me what's your preference and why. Sounds good?
Awesome. Perfect.
All righty, man. Let's do it. We got the Budtrainer fam on the Know Your Bud segment. All righty, man. First off, when it comes to germination, paper towel method, glass of water method, or straight into the soil? What's your preference?
Straight into the soil and the solo cup.
Straight into the soil and the solo cup. I like that, man. And have you used any humidity domes over there or anything like that, just to keep that humidity nice and high so it can pop?
Absolutely. We recommend using a transparent cup on top of the solo cup with holes on the top. So as long as you have your red solo cup and a transparent cup, usually smaller than the solo cup that you can put on top, you will have the best results. And your seedling is going to be able to grow until it almost touches the top of that transparent cup, at which point you can remove it because it doesn't need that high humidity. That process keeps the humidity inside of the little transparent cup at about 80%, which is fantastic. Make sure you put holes on the top of that cup so that it can circulate the air in there.
Yeah, that's a great tip as well, because a lot of people don't know if you just have that stagnant air in there, your shit can rot. You'll see some fungus and moldy looking spores forming and all sorts. So great point on that one. Now, the next question is organic or synthetic? What type of grower are you?
I like both. I like starting with a soil that's amended with a lot of organic matter, and then I use salt fertilizers to complement that and to keep the soil rich. So I start feeding fertilizers at a very low dose, for those who are familiar with it, at about 1.2 EC or 600 ppm. And then I keep that 1.2 all the way to flower, at which point I might increase it to 1.3 or 1.4, because again, the live matter inside of that soil is holding on to those nutrients, and that's why I like that dose always consistent. Keep the soil going from dry to wet, so the roots can really find the water in there, and that's really what's our preference.
Yeah, they can search that out. I love that one, man. Great point. A lot of people have been adopting that approach, a synganic approach, organic and synthetic. Why have it mutually exclusive? Why not combine the two, And that's just something that I found. So it's a little bit of a trick question, but this one is not a trick question. Soil or soil-less? What's your preference?
I like both. Right now, I'm actually growing soil, and the reason for that is because I don't have a setup where I can get a runoff properly. And if you're doing soilless without getting runoff, you will end up having some sort of buildup or deficiency in there, which is really why I don't do soilless anymore. Before, I used to have a setup with a big basin that would collect all of that water so I could get rid of the runoff. But now, because I can do it, I like soil, and soil, I have a medicinal license for up to 15 plants. When I'm growing 15 plants, it's a lot of work having to automatically feed all of those. So I like the soil is just one of those where you don't have to use that runoff if you, again, don't overfeed the nutrients. And it has a buffering capacity, meaning we grow different strains all the time. One strain is going to react different than another strain when you're using the same fertilizer. So if you use synthetic, you almost need a formula fertilizer that's specific to your strain, which you're never going to get, by the way. You know what I mean? So I feel like soil is just more forgiving, and we are for the home grower, right? I understand there's a lot of people in the medicinal space that understand a lot, and they really get into the nitty gritty of it, which I love, by the way. We learned it all in college. However, for our growers, we like them to have an experience where they're going to have fun and not screw it up. You know what I mean? So we remove all of those complexities that a lot of people, including myself, for those first couple of years, always screwed up. I always try to go to the next level, but then I learned that for you to be at the next level, you have to control so many other things. It's your light, it's your level of CO2, it's your temperature, it's your humidity. Then you can change your nutrients. You know what I mean? So I feel like by using one formula, we love to use Refertilizer. They're actually a Canadian brand, Refertilizer. That's the name of the brand. It's a super simple 3-part fertilizer. They have the first part for your seedlings with some mycorrhizae and kelp. Then they have a grow for your veg stage, and they have a bloom for your bloom stage. It's all powdered. It's no liquids. So it's super easy peasy. I don't like to spend time doing nutrients. And the thing that I truly believe in is that growing cannabis at home is not just about saving money. That's what a lot of people do it for. It's actually about having fun. Just like people who bonsai, they don't bonsai because they want to yield plants. They do it because they want to spend the time on the plant. It's the hobby itself. Right? So with Budtrainer, we don't want to lose that, right? So we like to keep the pain in the ass activities to a minimum and the fun activities to a maximum. You know what I mean?
I love that, man. I love that. And you hit the nail spot on, man. A lot of people overlook it. I grow and I still, occasionally hit the dispo just because out here in Colorado, you can get flower for, really good prices. So it's all about the love of just growing, So I personally agree with you on that. But this question, man, photo or auto flowers? What's your preference?
I'm more of a photo person. I have grown auto flowers before. There's just something about the photo periods that I haven't gotten over yet. And also the setup that I have is a small 2x2 tent where I can keep 7 plants in the veg stage. Yeah. And then I have another 3 tents that are always in the flowering stage that once a week I put a veg plant into those flowering tents. So I can keep 7 plants here, 8 plants there, and they're always cycling through. So pretty much every week or two, I'm harvesting a plant, I'm starting a plant, I'm training a plant. I'm going through every single stage of the process.
Yeah, I got you. Makes a lot of sense, man. It seems like my camera has just popped up. But either way, let's get on to the other one, which is fems or regs. What's your preference when it comes to that? Feminized or regs?
Oh, absolutely feminized. I do not like picking through males, especially I don't want to go through my plant count by, wasting that on males. And I'd say that unless you're into genetics and manipulating genetics, I don't see the benefit of regulars. We always recommend our growers, if they want a guaranteed result, go for feminized. It's more likely, like you might still have a herb, which, it's not ideal, but I always go feminized. And the only time that I think I went regular, I got out of 6 seeds, 4 males, 2 females. And that was just another reminder why I shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
I got you, man. Makes sense, especially if you got a limited space, dude. But this one, though, dry trim or wet trim? Super controversial.
Yeah, and we love it because we actually recommend you do both. We recommend before you harvest, before you actually chop your plant, and the plant has to be upside down now, we recommend you trim as much as you possibly can, especially of those fan leaves that you can see the stem sticking out. If it's the sugar leaves that are inside of your bud, you don't want to pull those little sugar leaves because that's really what you do the manicuring for. So before harvesting, we strip that plant down of as many leaves as possible. Those leaves are not even worth keeping because there's barely any trichomes to them. So we just remove all of that weight. And then we like to hang our plants whole, unless it's through a trellis net where you have to cut branch by branch. But still, regardless of which method, we like to leave those sugar leaves intact. And then after it's dry, we don't do a dry trim. It's really just a manicuring process, because all you're doing is getting your buds and then cutting those buds onto a tray, then picking up one by one, manicuring them around, and now you have your final bud. So I love both methods. And the thing is, what we recommend people do is, if you're in a very humid environment, the wet trim is actually better. Even your sugar leaves, the more material you can remove from your plant, even if you're thinking about growing your plant whole, it's better to dry it. If you're thinking about hanging it whole to dry, it's better to do it branch by branch in a humid environment, because you're going to avoid mold. I've lost 2 plants, full plants to mold. And it was sad, because you think there's enough airflow, but it was just too humid. And then when you're trimming, you're like, oh my God, this is mold. And because there's mold on one bud, you have to assume that it's everywhere. So you have to throw it all out. And so for that reason, that's where I think the controversy kind of goes away, because if it's humid, and you do a dry trim, meaning you're drying your plant with all of those leaves on, you're just risking mold. So I'd recommend remove your leaves as early as possible on a humid environment. If you have a very dry environment, you can do the opposite. You can even keep those big fan leaves on to help keep the humidity in, because if you have an environment that's 50% or below relative humidity, you will dry very fast. You might get to the point of over drying, so that the outsides are really crunchy, but the insides are still wet. So it's not ideal for curing. It's not ideal for continuing to dry. You just get into that spot where you have nowhere to go. So that's kind of how we look at it. If you have the ideal, do a little bit of both. If you have too humid, just do your trim as early as possible. If you have a very dry environment, do it as late as possible, and that's the happy of all the worlds.
Well said, man. I absolutely 100% agree with that. It all depends on your environment. And that's exactly what Cat Bar Jones says as well. It all depends on the environment. And that will sort of dictate, what sort of trim method you should choose, because there's no right or wrong answer to it, even though a lot of people do hate on the wet trim thing. But either way, let's not get into that right now. Shout out to Mike. He's actually asking, what is a good auto seed breeder? What strain is a good indica wise? Well, I have been having some good luck with SoFem Genetics autos, 420 fast buds. A lot of people have gotten a lot of autos from the ICANN VIP Bean Club. So if you want to join up, you can get some autos, photos, rags, all sorts of fire stuff. Mailboxes are burning down everywhere, man, but just join up and have some fun. Now, the final 2 questions are bong or joint. How do you enjoy your flower?
I'm much more of a bong guy, 100%. Joints are I love joints. I love the sharing aspect of joints, but alone, I'll never do joints alone. Even just at home, it's always the bong, and I feel like it's easier to control. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, you know what? Like, I can time it a little bit better, and the joint requires that commitment, which I totally understand. People who like joints, they like to take that break. Kind of like I used to smoke cigarettes for a long time in my life and stopped a while ago too, but I like the fact that I was taking a break. I had to go outside. I had to take 5 minutes to, not think about it. So the cigarette kind of like forced that break. Yeah. So people who love joints, I think that's what they also like. It's not the fact that you're consuming your plants. It's the fact that, you're taking a little bit of that break. But for me, man, I'm always going. I don't have that time to stop. It's like just boom, boom, back to it. You know what I mean?
I love it. And you get super blazed.
Yeah, that's it. How about yourself, though? I'm curious about you.
I mix them up, man. Like in the morning times, I like to rip a bowl, but like after I eat a meal, I gotta have a J. Gotta have a J. So I do both every single day.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And that's a beautiful thing. There's no one way that people like to do things, and other people like things that other people don't like. So it's all about the differences, man. And I think appreciating those differences is key. And shout out to Norma G. Mephisto is a great auto breeder as well. They slipped my mind, but definitely check out Mephisto, Night Owl. There are a lot of great ones out there. I've actually not heard of Karma Genetics, but Paradox has suggested him. Now, the last one, man, edibles or vapes? Which one is your preference?
I'm going to say neither, but if I had to choose between one another, the vape, just because edibles, and again, I have limited experience with them because I haven't had the greatest experiences. They just put me to sleep. Even sativa edibles have had that effect, which is like takes a while. And then, of course, you'll smoke some weed before the effect comes in, and then it comes in, and you're like, oh, my God, this is too much. So I like edibles when it is a night that you just know you're totally gonna crash on the couch, and then you do it, and then you get into like a different zone almost. You know what I mean? It's a different level.
Yeah.
But vapes, I think they're easier. Just recently, me and my girlfriend went to BC, and
Sweet.
we were just traveling around. It was easier to carry a vape cartridge around. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what we did there. But the vape, it just makes me cough so much. It's crazy how tickly it gets in there. I don't know what it is about the vapes, but
Yeah.
not my favoriteest thing. So yeah, it's like bongs, then joints, then vapes, then edibles. So I guess
I love that, man. You got it all sorted out. I think for me, vapes are like really convenient. Like when you like in a really inconspicuous place, you can just pop it out, have a couple pulls, but it just doesn't give me the same feeling and effect as a big ass bong rip or a nice J, So I guess the convenience factor sort of weighs it out. I don't know. But yeah, man, I think that was a great Know Your Bud segment. It helped me and everyone else in the chat right now get to know you a little bit better, find out what you do with your buds, how you like to smoke it, grow it, taste it, enjoy it, all that stuff, man. So thanks for that, man.
100%. Yeah, no, thank you. Actually, one thing that we forgot to cover, I don't have one or do much, but with friends is dabbing. I love dab. Dabs are great. It's kind of like a clean bong mix with vaporizer. You know what I mean? It's really nice. I love dabs. Whenever actually we're with Basement Joe, he has those little puffcos, and yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've hidden a few dabs recently with my little Dr. Dabber, and man, the taste that you get from those terps is crazy with the dab. Like nothing like it, dude. Nothing like it. But yeah, I think we've touched on a lot of different things. But before we actually close off, we still got to do the giveaway draw. So this is what you guys have been waiting on. Shout out to Budtrainer. I'm seeing Budtrainers in the chat right now, in the comments, showing love. You guys are working hard. Follow them on YouTube as well, man. But they did point out a good little point, which is that some of you guys may not have actually spelled it correctly. So make sure you spell it correctly so that you're entered. It's hashtag Budtrainer Rocks, all one word. We've got a lot of entries in already, almost 70, just like the last one. So what we're going to do is let's roll this. Let's get this show on the road. Let's see who this lucky winner is going to be. And let's get it going, man. What do you think?
Excellent. Yeah. And I also just wanted to say for the not so lucky ones, you have your code ICANTHC that can be used on our website. It supports your channel, and everybody gets 10% if you use that code on our website as well. Just wanted to mention that. I don't think we mentioned it.
We didn't. I actually forgot to mention that. Yes, absolutely. That was a question that was in the chat. I had responded to it in the chat, but I forgot to actually say it. So yes, definitely use the discount code ICANTHC. Even if you're not a winner, use that code and you can grab a discount and still feel like a winner. And all in all, the Budtrainer clips are not that expensive, man. So grab something at a good price and grab a little discount and support the channel as well while you do it, man. So let's get into the giveaway. Let's do this draw, man. We've got a few more entries in since we last done it, at least 12 more entries. So it looks like you guys are on the ball. So let's do that draw. Let's hit that draw button and let's go. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. And the winner is for the second Budtrainer package giveaway. It's going to be the one, the only Ram Outdoors. Shout out to Ram Outdoors, man. You just won yourself a dope Budtrainer bundle.
Awesome.
Congratulations, man. Ram, you in the chat? You got to be in the chat. If you're not in the chat, no, you got to be in the chat because you dropped the comments. You got to be in the chat. Let me see you, man. And we got Mike K. He just subscribed to Budtrainer. Thank you, man. Thanks for showing love. Definitely subscribe to Budtrainer and show some love. But yeah, man, we got a lot of great things that happened today. We got the chance to touch on a lot of great stuff as well. Ram K, you just won yourself a great Budtrainer kit. This is the Budtrainer kit. It is the Big Bud Bundle. And you get the clips, the bud huggers, the pot, and everything, man. So get in touch with me. Send me an email to icanthcseedclub@gmail.com, and we will get that sorted out for you with Budtrainer, man. But man, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks everyone for being in the chat. I think we touched on a lot of different things, man. The plant training methods are amazing. The LST clips that you guys are doing over at Budtrainer, not just the clips, but also the bud huggers, the plant pots, everything, man. You guys got an entire ecosystem where you guys can train plants and get the best results, man. So I think we've touched on a lot of different things, but before we actually close off, for people who want to get in touch with you guys, find out what you guys have got next, or maybe just ask you guys some questions about plant training, where can they do that, bro?
100%. There's a few options actually. You can go to our website, just simply on our contact form. We always try to reply within 24 hours. You can hit us up on Instagram via DM, on Facebook via DM, and we're starting to dabble with Twitter a little bit more. So even on Twitter. And if you guys actually wanted to ask, you guys as well, I mentioned there, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one that I haven't mentioned is YouTube, which is where we're at now. So I wanted to ask, the crowd if they would like to see some more content on YouTube, more specific to plane training, different techniques and so on from us, because we're really thinking about spending some time and creating some great content there.
Absolutely, man. So guys, definitely check out Budtrainer on YouTube. Go and show him some love. Let him know that you do want to see that content. We always want to see how to grow big, nice buds. So if you guys want to, definitely head on over there, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let him know the ICANN fam is over there showing love and supporting the Budtrainer family, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and kick it with us, man. We had a blast. We had a lot of great people in the chat as well. I think at one point we had over 180 people tuned in. So on behalf of everyone that was in the live chat and everyone that'll watch it afterwards, man, thank you so much for taking the time to come and kick it with us, man. We all really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Love this experience. Love chatting with you, man. And I can't wait to meet you in person. Let's see which event it is that we're going to end up bumping into each other.
Hell yeah, man. Most definitely. And we'll definitely make that happen sooner rather than later because, you got to beat the iron while it's hot. You got to do it quickly. So hopefully we can link up soon at some sort of event, whether it's here in the US or out there in Canada. But either way, we had a great sesh, man, and we definitely should do it again. Thanks again for partaking, everyone in the live chat as well. So hit that like on the way out, show some love, but most importantly, stay high and stay fly. And wait, hit that like, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.